welcome you. Today, we're diving deep into something really fundamental if you want to hit those big, long-term goals. We're talking about grit.
And our main guide here is Angela Duckworth's fantastic book, Grit.
Yeah, and our mission really is pretty simple.
Huh.
Pull out the practical stuff, the mindsets from the book that you can actually use right now to get, well, grittier and achieve the things that matter to you.
Exactly. This isn't just, work harder. It's about understanding that specific mix of passion that lasts and sheer perseverance.
Yeah, that sustained effort.
Right. We'll unpack the ideas, look at some powerful stories, and really connect it to what you can do. So maybe think for a second. What's a big goal you're working towards right now?
Got one. Good. Keep it in mind because this is for you.
Okay, let's get into it.
Okay, so one of the first things that really jumped out at me from the book is how much we kind of fixate on talent.
Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere.
Like we see someone amazing and just think, wow, natural. Duckworth mentions this radio piece comparing Bill and Hillary Clinton. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Bill was the natural communicator, smooth, effortless.
And Hillary was seen as the striver, someone who had to really work at it.
Right. And the subtle message there is that natural is somehow better, more impressive.
Exactly. But Duckworth really challenges that. She says talent is important, sure, but effort, that's where the magic happens.
She has this formula, which is actually quite profound when you think about it. Talent times effort equals skill.
Okay.
But then skill times effort equals achievement.
So effort comes in twice.
Yes. Effort builds the skill, and effort makes the skill productive. It counts double. That's huge. Even a bit more effort can really compound things over time.
That makes so much sense. And the book is just packed with stories that kind of blow up the talent is everything idea.
It really is.
Take Duckworth's own story with her dad. He apparently told her she wasn't a genius.
Right. Which, could be crushing.
Totally. But her reaction, her internal thought she shares, is amazing. She basically decided, okay, maybe not the smartest, but I'll be the grittiest. She vowed to love her work, to have a calling, get back up when knocked down.
It shows grit as a choice, doesn't it? Something you can consciously cultivate.
Yeah. And the research she brings in backs this up so strongly, like the West Point study.
Oh, the Beast Barracks study. Yeah, that's a classic.
So they have this whole candidate score at West Point, right?
Yep.
Super detailed SATs, high school rank, leadership, fitness, everything. You'd think that score would predict who makes it through the brutal Beast Barracks training.
You'd absolutely think so. That's what it's designed for, essentially predicting potential.
But that's not what they found.
Oh, not at all. Duckworth points out there is basically no correlation between that whole candidate score and a cadet's grit score. Talent and grit were separate things.
Wow.
And guess which one predicted finishing Beast Barracks?
Got to be grit.
It was grit. Not the SATs, not the rank, not the leadership potential on paper. It was their passion and perseverance when things got incredibly tough.
So raw talent isn't the deciding factor when the going gets really tough. It's the tenacity.
Precisely. And that's such a key takeaway for anyone facing a big challenge. Focus on building that tenacity.
And it wasn't just West Point, was it? She looked at other really demanding fields.
Right. Sales, for instance. Think about it. Constant rejection is just part of the job.
Yeah, tough gig.
She found grit was a better predictor of who actually stuck with the job for 6 months than things like extroversion or conscientiousness. Being able to bounce back from no over and over again, that's grit in action.
Makes sense. And then there's Green Beret training.
I mean, talk about intense. That selection course is specifically designed to find the breaking point.
So it's like a grit filter itself.
Absolutely. It weeds people out based on their ability to persevere under extreme duress. It's not always the physically strongest up front, but the ones who just won't quit.
And that story about her student, David, the one who struggled with math early on.
Yeah, David, he wasn't a natural at math in her 7th grade class.
He even got a D when he moved to a harder class the next year.
Right. But instead of giving up, what did he do?
He dug in, got help, worked on his mistakes, focused on understanding.
Pure grit. And the payoff was incredible.
Totally. Ends up acing AP Calculus, dual degrees in engineering and economics, PhD in mechanical engineering.
And now he's literally a rocket scientist.
Amazing. It just shows how perseverance can totally overcome what looked like an initial lack of talent.
It really makes you question how quickly we label people or ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just not a math person.
Exactly. And this isn't even a new idea, is it? She mentions Francis Galton from way back.
Yeah, 19th century. He studied high achievers and identified not just ability, but also zeal, like passion, and a capacity for hard labor. effort, basically.
Even Darwin agreed. Said people differ less in intellect than in zeal and hard work.
Yet we still seem to have this bias, maybe, towards naturals.
Yeah, that research by Chiayonse was fascinating.
It really was. She found that even experts who say they value effort unconsciously favor the natural over the striver.
Even when achievements are identical.
Yep. Musicians, entrepreneurs, the natural was rated higher, more likely to succeed. The striver needed way more experience or capital just to be seen as equal.
Oof, that's sobering. It makes you think, maybe I've underestimated my own hard work sometimes, or maybe overestimated someone else's innate gift.
It's super common, I think, but knowing about this bias is kind of freeing. It means your effort really matters, even if it doesn't always feel like it's recognized the same way as effortless seeming talent.
Okay, so we've hammered home that effort is crucial, maybe even more crucial than talent.
Yeah.
Let's nail down grit itself. What is it, practically speaking?
Duckworth defines it with two core things: passion and perseverance for long-term goals.
Passion and perseverance.
Yeah. And she created the grit scale, which listeners could even look up to measure this. It asks about sticking with things, maintaining effort over years, not just weeks or months.
And passion here isn't just intensity, right? It's different.
Totally different. It's not that initial fiery burst like falling in love. It's more like staying in love.
Oh, okay. I like that.
It's consistency, a deep, enduring interest in something. Gritty people have this top-level goal, like a compass, that guides them. Even the boring Tuesday tasks connect back to that bigger thing.
The story of Jeffrey Gettleman, the New York Times journalist, really illustrates that, doesn't it? Becoming the East Africa bureau chief wasn't overnight.
They're not even close. It was a decade. Student paper, small internships, bigger papers, facing danger, setbacks, but always aimed at that goal.
That's the long-term part. Sustained passion, sustained perseverance.
Exactly. It's not about quick wins. It's about the marathon.
So how do we get more of that passion? People always say follow your passion, but Duckworth suggests it's not usually some big epiphany.
Right. It's really like lightning strikes and suddenly,
It seems like interests often start small, kind of fragile even, and they need nurturing.
Early encouragement helps a lot. And some freedom, some autonomy to explore things without pressure. If someone's constantly telling you what to be passionate about, it probably won't stick.
Yeah, that makes sense. The examples in the book are great. Will Shortz, the puzzle guy.
His mom encouraged his early fascination with puzzles. Total support.
Jeff Bezos, always tinkering, interested in the space. Family backed him up.
Julia Child stumbled into cooking later. It wasn't a lifelong plan. Rowdy Gaines, the swimmer, had a moment where he realized he could really fall in love with the sport. Chef Mark Vetri loved the creative side of cooking.
So it's often about exposure, support, and just trying stuff out, paying attention to what clicks.
I think so. If you're unsure about your passion, maybe don't wait for the thunderbolt. Explore. What did you like as a kid? What do you read about for fun? What makes you lose track of time? Those might be the seeds.
Okay, exploration for passion. Now the other half, perseverance. This is where deliberate practice comes in, which sounds intense.
It is intentional. That's the key. It's very different from just, showing up and going through the motions.
So not like my jogging routine you mentioned in the book, which, yeah, hasn't made me any faster in years.
Well, it's a perfect example of non-deliberate practice. Anders Ericsson, the expert, would say it lacked specific goals, feedback, focus on weaknesses.
Right. It was comfortable, but not designed for improvement. So what is deliberate practice?
Okay, 4 key things. 1, set a specific stretch goal just beyond your current reach.
Okay, push yourself a bit.
2, full concentration, no distractions, really focus on that goal.
Got it.
3, feedback. You need to know how you're doing, ideally right away. What worked, what didn't, especially feedback on errors.
So actively look for weaknesses.
Yes. And 4, reflection and refinement. After practice, think about it. What could be better next time? Then repeat, targeting those weaknesses.
It sounds much more surgical than just repetition.
It is. Think Kevin Durant practicing specific moves alone for hours. Or musicians drilling tricky passages, not just playing songs they already know.
That virtual reality surgery, game 2, instant feedback on technique.
Brilliant example. High stakes, immediate feedback, rapid improvement.
Does it have to be miserable, though? Deliberate practice sounds like hard work, maybe not fun.
That's a fair question. It definitely requires effort. But it's not always unpleasant. Sometimes the focus itself is rewarding. And Duckworth talks about the link to flow, that state of being totally absorbed.
Ah, okay. So they're related.
Kind of sequential, maybe? Deliberate practice builds the skills so that you can experience flow later. You sharpen the tool, which requires focus, then using the sharp tool is enjoyable.
Makes sense. And some people, like that spelling champ Gary Close, actually found the deliberate breakdown of hard words gratifying.
Exactly. And it's not about quantity over quality either. A few hours of really focused, deliberate practice is way better than 8 hours of mindless repetition.
Like that violinist, Noah Kageyama, who improved more once he switched how he practiced.
And routines help. Charles Schultz drawing peanuts every morning. Maya Angelou writing in her quiet hotel room, building it into your day.
Okay, so we need interest, developing into passion. We need deliberate practice for perseverance. What's next?
The third pillar is purpose. Connecting what you do to something bigger than yourself.
Ah, the why.
Exactly. Passion gives you direction, purpose gives you meaning, and that meaning can be incredibly motivating, especially when things get tough. It fuels grit.
The book had some great examples. Antonio Galloni, the wine critic.
His purpose wasn't just tasting wine, it was helping people understand their own tastes, creating those light bulb moments.
And the research showing people who see their work as a calling are grittier and happier.
Yeah, that's consistent. And Amy Wozniacki's work showing that any job, bricklayer, secretary, whatever, can be a job, a career, or a calling. It's all about perspective.
The bricklayer parable. Laying bricks, building a wall, or building a cathedral.
It's powerful, finding that connection. Like Joe Leader at NYC Transit, shifting from just paying bills to feeling purpose and serving millions of riders.
Or Michael Bain, combining mindfulness with helping others. Duckworth founding Summerbridge to help students. Kat Cole wanting to help people and companies reach their potential.
It often starts, according to Bill Damon's research, with two things. Seeing a need, someone needing help, and believing you can actually do something about it.
Believing you can make a difference.
And role models are huge here. Seeing someone else live out their purpose makes it feel possible for you too.
So for listeners, maybe think, how does what I do, even in small ways, help someone else? Finding that connection can be a real grit booster.
Absolutely.
Okay, fourth element, hope. This isn't just wishful thinking, is it?
Not at all. It's more like resilience, a belief you can make things better, that your efforts matter even when you face setbacks. Duckworth links it to learned optimism.
The opposite of learned helplessness from those Seligman and Mayer dog experiments.
Exactly. The dogs that learned they couldn't escape the shocks just gave up. But crucially, some didn't give up initially. Optimism is about how you explain bad events.
Optimists see them as temporary and specific, pessimists as permanent and pervasive.
Right. I failed this test because I didn't study enough versus I failed this test because I'm stupid. Big difference in how you bounce back.
The Teach for America study showed optimistic teachers were grittier and more effective. Makes sense. If you believe things can improve, you keep trying.
And this ties directly into Carol Dweck's work on growth versus fixed mindset.
Growth mindset. Abilities can be developed. Fixed mindset. Talents are innate.
Yes. If you have a growth mindset, a setback isn't proof you're incapable. It's a signal to try harder, learn more. It fuels hope and perseverance.
So how do we cultivate that? A growth mindset, more hope.
Pay attention to how you react to failure. Challenge those fixed mindset thoughts. I'm just not good at this. Seek out environments that value learning and effort.
Like Bill McNabb learning to row. He wasn't a natural, struggled, but kept at it and developed that growth mindset.
Exactly. Or programs like Outward Bound, deliberately challenging experiences, build confidence and a sense of control.
Even neurobiology supports this. Steve Mayer's research
Suggests that overcoming challenges where you have control can actually make your brain more resilient to future stress. It builds hope biologically.
Wow. And Kayvon Asmani's story at Penn, overcoming huge adversity through that growth mindset. Inspiring.
Definitely. So concrete steps. Consciously try to believe intelligence isn't fixed. Practice optimistic self-talk. Maybe even look into cognitive behavioral therapy if pessimism is really ingrained.
Okay, so that's growing grit from the inside out. Interest, practice, purpose, hope. But Duckworth also talks about growing it from the outside in.
Right. The influence of people around us, parents, mentors, culture.
Let's start with parenting. She mentions psychologically wise parenting. What's that?
It's finding that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Warm and supportive, but also demanding, setting high standards, respectful of the child, but clear about expectations, not too strict, not too lenient.
Like the contrast between Steve Young's tough love but supportive parents and Francesca Martinez's parents, who encouraged her but also modeled hard work.
Exactly. Different styles, but both fostered grit by modeling it and encouraging kids to pursue hard things. It extends beyond parents to teachers, coaches, bosses.
Toby Littke's mentor, Jurgen, sounds like he was crucial.
Huge impact, encouragement, belief. That leads to wise feedback, basically saying, I have high expectations for you and I'm confident you can meet them. That combo is really motivating. The study with the Post-it notes on essays showed it worked.
So, I believe in you, so I'm pushing you.
Pretty much. And almost every gritty person has had someone like that, like Cody Coleman's math teacher, Chantel Smith, believed in him, pushed him.
The book also mentions the hard thing rule for families.
Yeah, I love that. Everyone picks a challenging activity requiring practice and commitment, and you have to stick with it for a certain period. No quitting just because it's hard today.
And extracurriculars fit in here too, right? They teach follow-through.
Definitely. Willingham's study showed sticking with activities for years and achieving something in them correlated with college success. It builds that muscle of sticking with things.
Jeff Canada's point about kids needing a decent childhood with opportunities for development?
Yes, and even those studies with rats that had to work hard for rewards showed more persistence later. Doing hard things builds the capacity to do more hard things.
Like taking ballet class, you develop interest, you have to practice deliberately, maybe find purpose in performance, build hope as you improve. It bundles all together.
It's a great microcosm for developing grit.
And finally, the power of culture, the environment we're in.
Huge influence. Think Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks deliberately building a culture around great competitors with grit, their competition Wednesdays.
How does culture shape grit?
Well, partly through conformity, wanting to fit in, but more deeply, it shapes our identity. We internalize the values of the group.
Like Tom Dieline identifying as a West Pointer, airborne ranger. That identity drives behavior.
Exactly. Leaders like Jamie Dimon or Anson Dorrance at UNC Soccer intentionally build gritty cultures through clear values, constant reinforcement, creating environments like the competitive cauldron.
And leaders need to model it, right? Leading from the front, like General Caslin at West Point.
Absolutely. Setting high standards, but also providing the support to help people reach them. Like Direline's instructor encouraging him on that climb. You can do this. That support in a challenging culture makes a difference.
So it's really two paths working together. Developing it from the inside interest, practice, purpose, hope, and getting support and influence from the outside parents, mentors, culture.
That's the core idea, and it's not about being blindly stubborn either. Duckworth is clear. You might need to pivot on lower-level goals sometimes, but you stay committed to that top-level ultimate concern, your core values.
Good point. And grit isn't everything, right?
Definitely not. Character is broader. Self-control, integrity, kindness, relating to others, all crucial too. Grit is mainly about achieving long-term goals.
It's one important piece of the puzzle.
A fascinating piece, though. As Duckworth says, understanding how we achieve things is a lifelong journey itself.
Okay, let's try to boil this down for everyone listening. What are the absolute key takeaways?
All right. Number one, effort counts at least as much as talent, probably more. Forget the talent myth.
Okay, effort over talent.
2, grit. Passion plus perseverance. Passion is consistent interest over time. Perseverance is sustained effort.
Got it. Passion plus perseverance.
3, passion grows. Explore, get encouragement, engage deeply. It's not usually an epiphany.
Cultivate passion.
4, perseverance comes from deliberate practice. Focus, stress yourself, get feedback, reflect. Quality over quantity.
Practice deliberately.
5, purpose fuels grit. Connect your work to something bigger than yourself. Find the meaning.
Find your purpose.
6, hope is crucial. Cultivate a growth mindset. Practice optimistic self-talk. Believe you can overcome setbacks.
Roger hope.
And 7, outside influences matter. Wise parenting, good mentors, supportive cultures, they all help build grit.
Surround yourself well. Okay, those are great summaries. So the challenge for you listening is pick one or two of those. What's one small thing you can start doing today?
Maybe explore an interest a bit more. Add 15 minutes of focused practice. Think about the purpose behind a task. Challenge one fixed mindset thought.
Little steps. And that leads to our final thought.
Now that you understand this incredible power of grit, how are you going to choose to use it? Think about those big goals you thought of earlier. What steps, fueled by passion and perseverance, will you take starting now?